I know it was late night for you last night. What time did you guys finally call it quits?
Hey, so I'll tell you what, we finally got them to surrender about 3:15 this morning. we were not giving up on this border protection. We're not going to give up on that. So, yeah, it was about 3:15.
Spoken as a former sheriff, just you surrendered what time? They surrendered what time at 3:15 last night? Jeez.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when we put our minds and our hearts into this thing on protecting this southern border, and, we are working on finishing our bill, and we got it done last night, but the opposition there just continually kept trying to add amendments to it, and of course we had to fight it. Like I say, they finally give up it was about 3:15.
So what was the outcome as far as the what you hopefully won in this debate?
Yeah, well, we passed the Border Secure Act that we've been working on since I've been in office. Which shores up the southern border. It tries to get them to continue building the wall. There's material laying on the ground down there that's already been paid for. And if I'm not mistaken, some of these contractors have already been paid to put it up. So we need to finish that wall down there and get some new technology operational so that we can secure that southern border. And if we don't get that done pretty quick, it's just every day we just see continual problems as we've seen over the last 2 years with fentanyl and everything else.
We are only a few days away from this Title 42 being back in operation, whatever it happens to be, and they're talking about anywhere from 10 to 15,000 additional people every single day at the border. And I have never seen in all of my days, Congressman, anybody more inept and disqualified or unqualified for a job than Mr. Mayorkas. But I got to tell you, there was something, and I'm not sure if you were you're on Homeland Security. Did you have a chance to be in there when Tara Lee Rodas, Rodas, when she was testifying as a whistleblower?
No, I didn't hear that.
Let me play a little bit of this. I want to play just a little bit. I want you to hear a little bit of this because this is not only shocking. If any of us as a father or grandfather have had to keep our kids or grandkids, and just for a moment we couldn't find them and they wandered to another aisle or something, that feeling. And man, I listen, somebody who loses their child and they've been picked up by someone maybe in human trafficking for sex or labor. How in the world can you never sleep anymore? I mean, it's hell on earth. But a lot of people are going through this, and she testified yesterday. She was brought into the Biden administration to be helpful, and she found out what was going on, and she's a whistleblower. This is just a quick clip on this one, but listen to
it. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked.
Yes.
And we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows. And I have to confess, I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations.
Wow.
Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children.
And Congressman, if they wanted to start solving this situation, they could pass the bill that you guys worked on last night.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, I heard some of this. We've heard various stories from different people about some of these kinds of things, and that is just heart-wrenching. Like you were saying earlier, if that was, I lost my child or my granddaughter, and think that something like this could be happening to them in the United States of America. And for this administration to ignore the suffering of these people is absolutely unacceptable. That's why we stayed here until 3 o'clock this morning fighting with these people who absolutely think it's okay to let these folks just pour across this border. And I'm telling you what, I'm not going to rest until we get something done about this.
Did you have any Democrat support at all from on this bill?
None. Zero. Not one did we get to support us or even listen to us. All they did was criticize us last night. One even introduced an amendment blaming climate change for the reason why people are coming to the border. Now, you know, they're always going to try to circle back around to this climate hoax as to the reason why everything is going like it is right now. Absolutely ridiculous. We're trying to secure the border, and if we don't get this border under control, we're not going to have a country to protect anymore. And again, I'm going to fight this to the last breath in me. You know, it's time that we Americans stood up and fought these people and quit laying down and listening to their rhetoric.
I don't know how you'd fare, but I have an idea that you'd have a lot of acid reflux if you came into this position as a new congressman and you didn't have the gavel. At least now you have the gavel, but if you didn't, you just felt like you're spinning your wheels. And I can't even imagine how that would feel. But they did the same thing as far as the women's sports on Title IX. I mean, I don't think there was one single Democrat vote for that one. Also, the Republicans raised the debt ceiling while cutting spending. It passed by a narrow margin yesterday in the House. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you know, that was a nail biter there for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we got that thing passed. And, you know, we have got to at some point get this spending under control. If we don't do this, you know, we cannot just keep printing money. You know, this limit, save, grow plan is going to put people back to work. It's going to save taxpayer money over 10 years, over $4.5 trillion over 10 years, and we're not cutting anything from Medicare or Social Security. We're taking care of our military. We're taking care of our senior adults, and we've got to get this under control. And now that the Republicans have this slight, slim majority, just look at some of the progress we've been making. We are actually making people come to work and do their job. And, you know, every one of us gets up and goes to work every morning if we're able-bodied. And, you know, I wouldn't want to stay home. I want to go to work. I want to be a good citizen, and I want to teach my children and grandchildren the same thing. But if we don't get this border under control and this spending under control, we're not going to have a country.
And we'll come back on the other side of this one, but just going into this break here, if folks haven't been watching any of the hearings, and you almost have to watch these because some of the hearings have been where are your people from the Department of Defense or many of these agencies asking, where are they? Because you're asking for more money to hire more people, and then they show pictures of the parking lots, and there is maybe 6 cars where there ought to be 1,600 cars. And then they ask them, is this a work day? Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Where are your people? Well, you know, we still have some on COVID working from home. They have no earthly idea. It is, talking about giving you acid reflux, sometimes don't you feel like you're talking to some 10-year-olds or 6th graders? How do you argue with those people?
I mean,
we'll pick it up again and talk more coming up.
Yeah.
Back to Congressman Mike Ezell, live in Washington, D.C. after a long night last night. But we were talking about several different things and how trying to communicate with these people. And everybody wants to be, bipartisan and work together. But it's I can't imagine even how you can come together as loony as these people are.
You are exactly right. And I tell you, just like last night, when the cameras go on, you see just how they really feel, and calling us all sorts of names, because we want to secure the border. We're these such bad people because we love America and we want to secure the border. We want to take care of our families. We want to have an America that we grew up in. We want better for our children and grandchildren and fellow citizens, and it just shocks me the way that they react to simple law and order. I've been a police officer 42 years, three-term sheriff, and, I told Mayorkas last week, or 2 weeks ago, we had him in there. I said, as a sheriff of Jackson County and a police officer my entire life, if I wasn't enforcing the law, the people would remove me from office. And it's just it's sickening to see that the way this border is being handled right now.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is to say something that is outright wrong and say it so many different times that the only reason you're doing that is because apparently it's working for some people who are eating. Well, for instance, the vice president, this was, I think, yesterday.
In less than 3 weeks, Title 42 will expire, and already there is reports that there is thousands of migrants waiting at the border. We also have reports that the CBP One app is not working. And according to the U.S. Customs, they are expecting at least 10,000 migrants every day at the border. How are you getting ready for that?
So you probably know that under the prior administration, they essentially dismantled the system and broke it. And we have been, since we came in office, attempting to fix it in a number of ways.
If anybody goes to Congress with any hair, how do you not pull it out?
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that one, I think we did play that one yesterday, but I wanted to play it again for you. But it's just absolutely amazing that they could say things like that, that it was broken and he dismantled everything when you had actually, as a matter of fact, all of that surplus that's laying on the ground out there was stuff that he had, and if we had a second term right now, we wouldn't have any of this problem.
No, we would not, and I can tell you this. That our Border Patrol is already overwhelmed. And when they start really coming in here, they're coming in here because they've been invited in here free of charge, and they're getting all these services that are just unbelievable. And, we were accused, last night of, being hateful and we don't care about people and all these sorts of things. They're getting better care than a lot of people right now. I've been to the border. I've seen the way that these folks are treated once they get here. And, they've provided food, shelter, warm clothes, clean bath, and all the things that are needed. And it is just unbelievable to be accused of so many things that are just not true. And it's very discouraging. But I can tell you this, that just makes me want to work harder, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And
I understand that.
Out all the fairy tales they want to, but we're going to keep working and telling the truth.
Listen, I don't understand why if you're homeless and you really don't want to be homeless, a lot of people, that's just the way of life now. But if you're homeless in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a new hot spot now, or Oregon or San Francisco, city or state, why not just pack up, leave, go across the border, and then sneak into Mexico and come back across the border? You'd be a lot better off. I mean, number one thing you do, you're going to get a free phone, and you got an app on there as a concierge to take care of your travels. Are you crazy?
You are exactly right. And I'll tell you what, when we were down there a couple of months ago, talking to these Border Patrol agents, and the way they were being overwhelmed and the way they were being forced to be nursemaids instead of law enforcement officers, it's just ridiculous. And this is by design by this administration, to pull these men and women off the line, put them in desk jobs doing administrative things when they can be out there protecting the citizens in this crisis that we have.
Congressman, never give up the fight, sir. You have to wonder, you have to hope, I should say. You have to hope that we're still, and I mean we, patriotic Americans, regardless of who they are, what the political ideology is, just patriotic and understand and can see how wacky this is. And we have to hope we're in the majority, and we have to also hope that the thing that's missing here is we're not speaking up loud enough and strong enough. But we're glad you are in Washington, D.C. Thank you after a long night for taking the time, sir.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to serving the people of Mississippi.
We got you. Love to have you in the studio when you come back home. That is